dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Connor James. The time is about 5:28. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your, again, Brandon, quiet forecast this morning. I'm liking that.
Exactly, and we're all liking that, but after the last few months of crazy weather, wet weather, so far, so good on this last full day of winter. Let's take a look at temperatures this morning, and you see they're a bit chilly in some locations. 19 showing up there, Monticello, 34 Jackson Hazard. A lot of folks there in the 20s and low 30s this morning, and still dropping. When you factor in the wind chill, it feels a little colder than that in spots, so just bundle up and give yourself some time to scrape those wind chills off. If you haven't downloaded the WYMT weather app, why? Because it's a great app to have, and you can see lots of sunshine, maybe a few clouds later in the day we get, and temperatures topping out there in the low 50s. The rest of the forecast on the way here in just a few minutes. Connor?
All right, Brandon, thanks. And it's great news for Kentucky. Last year, the sale of hemp products from the bluegrass surged, and Victor Puente explains this is only the beginning.
The 2018 Farm Bill signed by President Trump made hemp production legal nationwide. But Kentucky farmers had already been growing it under a pilot program. According to the numbers presented today, we could be at the forefront of that industry. In 2017, Kentucky had close to $17 million worth of hemp product sales. By 2018, that number would jump to almost $58 million. Those in the hemp industry say this is the ground floor.
I mean, by any metrics, the number of producers and processors that are entering the market has been astounding.
The plant is being used for fiber, food, and the lucrative CBD market.
The supply chain is so incredibly short. The prices continue to accelerate, and we need more producers to meet demand.
While hemp just became legal nationwide last year, Kentucky's had a pilot program for growing since 2014. They've seen a lot of tobacco farmers putting that knowledge to use with hemp.
The model fits very well, so tobacco farmers have the right type of equipment and the labor necessary to have a successful crop.
The Agriculture Commissioner says getting into the business early will be a big benefit for the state, as we already have processors and growers working to keep up with demand.
It's my vision that hemp will not just be looked upon equally as corn and soybeans, but that we create a hemp hub in Kentucky, a critical mass of processors and growers.
Just to give you an idea of how quickly that production is increasing, last year the Kentucky Department of Agriculture approved growers for around 16,000 acres of hemp. This year, that number is up to 50,000 acres. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WYMT Mountain News.
There are currently 120 hemp processors in Kentucky, employing around 450 people. And abortions have resumed at Kentucky's only abortion clinic after a ruling from a federal judge. Kentucky lawmakers passed a fetal heartbeat bill in the final hours of the session that was quickly signed by the governor. An emergency clause meant it took effect immediately. That meant clients at the EMW abortion clinic had to be turned away Friday. A lawsuit by the ACLU led a federal judge issuing a temporary restraining order late Friday night to bar the state from enforcing Senate Bill 9. And it's been a state tradition for more than half a century. And yesterday, the 53rd annual Kentucky Prayer Breakfast. Governor Matt Bevin hosted community and religious leaders. He told us that he's in the process of reading 177 bills to decide which, if any, to veto. The governor also took a moment to focus on the importance of foster care and making it easy to adopt, an issue important to him and his family as they've adopted 4 of their 9 kids.
I would encourage people, put your faith into action. Step up and put your arms around the children of Kentucky because they need it.
Governor Bevin said at the breakfast nearly 10,000 kids in Kentucky are looking for foster families. Roughly 96,000 are being taken care of by family members other than their parents. And Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear says the city of Martin violated the Open Records Act by not responding to requests for public information. You'll remember WYMT has followed this situation in the city of Martin all year long. That information people were asking 4 regarded a controversial annexation proposed by the city. It is a proposal that city officials say would annex roads around the city of Martin. When people like Terry Thornsberry heard about the possible annexation, he wanted to learn more. He reached out to the city officials who told him to file an open records request. So he did.
We're going to open up the books of Martin. I don't know what it's going to take, but we are going to open up the books of Martin. We are going to find out what's going on.
In Kentucky, government offices have 3 business days to reply to those requests, something both Thornsberry and the Attorney General say the city of Martin did not do. It's also important to mention we've tried to reach out to the mayor about the annexation multiple times. Not once has he returned our calls. And education reform is back to being front and center at in West Virginia, but this time in a different way. Teachers, parents, and students are getting an opportunity to share their vision of what changes need to be made ahead of Governor Jim Justice's special session on education. Those folks held a roundtable discussion inside a Huntington area school Monday night, trying to come up with some input on what they think educational reform should look like.
I think throughout the legislative session that was something a lot of people felt was missing, is that voice from the field, or the voice from the people on the front lines of education.
The Department of Education will submit a summary report for the forums to the governor and the legislative leadership by May 1st. And the Public Service Commission is investigating multiple water districts for excessive water loss. Southern Water and Sewer District is one, along with its district manager. According to the PSC, in the month of November, the district reported a 71% water loss, costing the company $386,000. Board Chairman Jeff Prater says he understands the customers' concerns with a rate increase. However, it's necessary to continue providing services.
We're very sensitive to people's being able to afford to pay for water, but at the same time, we have to maintain water service.
PSC officials say they are looking into the general manager Dean Hall's case for possible violations of state laws and regulations. Hall did not want to comment. All customers will be notified before any rate increase goes into effect. The utility serves about 5,400 homes and businesses in Floyd and Knott counties. And medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy in the U.S. Nearly 65% of hospitals across the country use emergency rooms staffed by outside companies. It's a loophole that allows providers to charge patients more because the ERs are considered out of network. It is illegal in Mississippi thanks to a 2013 state law. Representative Gary Chisholm helped pass it. The problem, well, there's no power to enforce it.
There's no teeth behind that bill, and we need to rectify that and put someone in charge.
Chisholm, who was also hit with a surprise medical bill after a stroke, says a move to fix the system has stalled. In a new scam warning for Kentuckians, a number of people have been receiving phony calls asking for Medicare information. Tom Ellis is one of those people. He worked in healthcare for years and knew better than to give his info away. He says he still fears for others.
In our church, we probably have 40+ people who are in their 80s and 90s. And to receive a threatening phone call about something that could put their future in peril financially, many people would respond to it in fear.
The AARP has warned of scams like this before. The state's Attorney General's office recently warned of similar scams for Social Security numbers, which is popular during tax season. And police in northern Kentucky are investigating after a 9-month-old was given Narcan. This happened in Covington. Police say the child was brought to a fire department and the child also received CPR. At this point, investigators haven't said if anyone will be charged in the case. And the Cats are heading to Jacksonville for the NCAA tournament. If you plan to make the trip to Florida, the Better Business Bureau wants you to check where your tickets are coming from. Here are some tips. BBB wants you to know, buy tickets from official ticket exchange sites that you can find that on ncaa.com. If you buy your tickets on a secondary market, check the company's reputation through the BBB, and don't forget to check the return and refund policies for your tickets.
Red flags you should watch for include too low to be true prices. Why is someone parting with these for such a low price and selling now and selling fast before you can research it further? It could be someone that doesn't have real tickets at all and is just out to get your money.
Now, we checked out ticket prices on a few sites. They're going to range from $71 all the way up to $9,000. And speaking of the big dance, don't forget to sign up for Hoops Hysteria on WYMT.com. We are filling out the road map to the Final Four at WYMT so you can compete against us and others. The winner gets a 65-inch smart TV, and a $1 million prize will be awarded nationally if someone correctly picks all the games. You have until 15 minutes before the first game to sign up on March 21st. And disability does not mean inability, and that was the message Monday night from Travis Freeman. Freeman grew up in Corbin and played high school football, all while without the use of his eyes. He was the first blind high school football player in the country, and through his organization he hosts is called the Lights Out Dinner in the Dark. People eat in the dark room while blindfolded. The purpose of the event is to get people out of their comfort zone and then motivate them to overcome obstacles in their own lives.
You take them out of their comfort zone to expose them to something new, something different, and then allow them to hear someone who has an inspirational story or a challenge or an obstacle that they are overcoming in their life.
The keynote speaker at the event was Lonnie Bedwell, the first blind man to solo kayak the Grand Canyon. This is the 4th year of the Lights Out Dinner in the Dark. The event raises money for an orphanage in Haiti that serves children with disabilities.
Eradicating HIV in the U.S., I'm Ian Lee with the government's new plan.
Outside of a few rain chances, the first couple of days of spring look pretty good. I'll have more on the one day of winter to go through before we get to that spring forecast in about 3 minutes.